Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today, we're heading to the rugged, sun-beaten cliffs of Andalusia, Spain. Imagine a team of scientists, suspended by ropes, rappelling into ancient abandoned nests perched on treacherous ledges. They weren't looking for eggs or chicks. They were looking for history. For centuries, these weren't just any nests. They were the generational homes of the bearded vulture, a magnificent bird of prey that is now locally extinct. What the researchers found within the matted layers of branches, wool, and bone was an astonishing accidental archive, a lost and found collection of human artifacts that has provided an unprecedented glimpse into the lives of people during the medieval period. This is the story of how a species of vulture, through its very peculiar habits, became an unwitting curator of human history, preserving fragile relics that time in the earth would have otherwise completely consumed. At the heart of this tale is a field called zooarchaeology, the study of animal remains from archaeological sites. It's a discipline that seeks to understand the complex relationships between humans and animals throughout history. But the discoveries in Andalusia have added a new, feathered dimension to this field, revealing that sometimes the animals themselves are the collectors. To understand how this happened, we first need to meet our unwitting archivist, the bearded vulture, also known by the formidable name lammergeier. This is a creature of immense character. It's one of the largest old-world vultures, with a wingspan that can stretch to nearly 3 meters or almost 10 feet. When you picture a vulture, you might think of a hunched, bald-headed bird feasting on soft flesh. The bearded vulture shatters that stereotype. They are strikingly beautiful, with a golden white head and neck, a dark slate-gray body, and fierce, intelligent eyes ringed in red. They even have a tuft of black bristles under their beak that looks like a goatee, which is how they got the name bearded vulture. But their most defining characteristic is their diet. Unlike their vulture cousins, the bearded vulture is an osteophage. That's a scientific term, meaning its diet consists almost exclusively of bone, up to 90%. They are nature's ultimate bone collectors. After other carnivores have picked a carcass clean, the bearded vulture arrives for the final course. They are famed for their remarkable technique of carrying large bones, femurs, ribs, even skulls, high into the air, sometimes over 150 feet up, and then dropping them onto specific rocky areas below, known as ossuaries. They do this repeatedly until the bones shatter into manageable, swallowable pieces. This incredible behavior has earned them the nickname huesero in Spanish, or bone breaker. Their digestive system is astonishingly powerful, with stomach acid capable of dissolving solid bone in about 24 hours. But it's not just bones these birds collect. For their nests, they are just as meticulous. For generations, these vultures have built their nests in the same protected cliffside caves and ledges. A good spot is a real estate gem, and it gets passed down through the family. Year after year, the resident pair adds to the structure, creating a layered, compacted mass of materials that can grow to be several feet high and wide. And to soften the inner bowl of the nest for their eggs, they have a particular fondness for collecting soft, pliable items. In the modern day, they might pick up bits of plastic or fabric. But in medieval Spain, the softest, most available materials were the discarded scraps of human life. This is where their role as archivist begins. The dry, cool microclimates of these high-altitude caves and ledges then act as perfect preservation chambers. They are natural museums, sheltered from rain, wind, and the baking sun, safeguarding organic materials that would normally decompose in a matter of years. It was in these accidental archives that a team of researchers, working between 2008 and 2014, unearthed a treasure trove of medieval history. The team carefully excavated 12 different nests, peeling back the layers of time. What they found was staggering. Tucked away within the compressed layers of twigs, wool, and animal remains were over 200 distinct man-made artifacts. These items, inadvertently salvaged by the vultures, paint a vivid and intimate picture of the world from which they were plucked. The collection spans centuries. Radiocarbon dating revealed that the artifacts ranged from as recent as 150 years ago to as old as 675 years. Let's look at some of the most remarkable finds. The star of the collection is a single, remarkably well-preserved esparto grass sandal. The sandal was radiocarbon dated to be between 650 and 750 years old, placing it squarely in the 13th or 14th century. Esparto grass is a tough, fibrous plant native to the region, and it was a common material for making everyday items for the peasantry of medieval Spain: ropes, baskets, and simple functional footwear just like this. Finding a single shoe is always a bit poignant. You can almost picture the owner: a shepherd tending his flock on the mountainside, a farmer working a field, losing it and having to make their way home with one bare foot. For the vulture, it was just a wonderfully soft and woven object, perfect for lining a nest. For us, it's a direct physical link to a person who walked these same mountains 7 centuries ago. But there was so much more. The researchers cataloged 129 individual pieces of cloth. These weren't grand tapestries, but small, forgotten fragments. Yet, from these scraps, experts can learn about the types of fibers used, the weaving techniques, and even the dyes that colored the world of medieval villagers. They also found 72 scraps of leather. One particularly fascinating piece was a fragment of sheep leather that had been painted with red ochre. Was it part of a decorative bag? A piece of an item of clothing? We can only speculate, but it shows a touch of artistry and personal expression. The collection also hints at the more dynamic aspects of medieval life. The researchers found part of a crossbow bolt. Crossbows were common tools for both hunting and warfare during this period. They also found part of a slingshot. These artifacts speak of the daily struggle for survival, of hunting for food in the mountains, and perhaps of conflict between neighboring settlements. The vultures, in their search for nesting materials, were essentially cleaning up the lost and found of medieval Andalusia. They likely scavenged these items from the slopes where shepherds lost them, from the edges of villages where refuse was discarded, or from trails where travelers passed. Each piece of string, each scrap of leather, each lost sandal was a potential treasure for a nest-building vulture. The bird would swoop down, pick up the curious object, and fly it back to its cliffside home, where it would be tucked into the nest structure and, by sheer chance, preserved for future archaeologists. The significance of these findings, however, extends beyond the individual artifacts. The nests themselves are ecological diaries written in bone. Alongside the human objects, the scientists found thousands of animal bone fragments, the leftover meals of generations of bearded vultures. By analyzing these bones, the scientists are able to create a long-term record of the vulture's diet. This isn't just about knowing what the birds ate for dinner. It allows scientists to reconstruct the historical abundance of different animals in the region. They can see the ratio of wild prey, like the native Iberian ibex, to domestic livestock, such as sheep and goats. This data is invaluable. A change in the ratio over the centuries can tell a story. For instance, an increase in sheep and goat bones in the nests might indicate that human pastoralism was expanding in the area, with more flocks grazing on the mountains. A decline in certain wild prey could signal overhunting by humans or changes in the environment. In this way, the vulture's dinner menu becomes a proxy, a biological survey that helps us paint a much broader picture of the past landscape and the shifting balance between humans and the natural world in medieval Spain. It's a perfect example of zooarchaeology in action, where animal remains unlock secrets about human history. There is, however, a sad and poignant final chapter to this story. The unwitting archivists are gone. The bearded vulture disappeared from southern Spain between 70 and 130 years ago. They were victims of a changing world. They were hunted and persecuted, often mistakenly believed to be a threat to livestock, when in reality they are specialized scavengers that pose no danger to living animals. Their habitat was lost to human expansion, and perhaps most critically, their food source declined. As veterinary practices changed, farmers began burying or burning animal carcasses instead of leaving them out in the open, inadvertently starving the very creatures that served as nature's cleanup crew. Today, the great nests on the cliffs of Andalusia are silent. But the story isn't entirely over. There is hope. Conservation efforts are now underway to reintroduce this magnificent species to the region. It's a long and difficult process, but the goal is to see these bone breakers soaring over the Spanish mountains once again. The discoveries in their ancestral nests serve as a powerful reminder of their long and deep history in these mountains. These nests aren't just archaeological sites. They are a testament to the intricate and often surprising ways in which the natural world is interwoven with our own human story. They show us that history is not just buried under our feet in ancient ruins and forgotten cities. Sometimes it is hidden high above our heads, in the abandoned homes of the bone-eating vultures of Andalusia. These winged archivists, in their simple quest to build a home and raise their young, have given us an accidental gift. It is a collection of stories bound in twigs and wool, a glimpse of a medieval world preserved, against all odds, in a vulture's nest.